Marquesi producer. Marquesi producer. Marquesi producer.
What is up, folks? Addy here, YouTube's chosen one. I had to get nice and spiffy for the first ever airing in 1080p. Hopefully our connection is pretty good. Of the Ads and Shrimp Show. Title in progress. Title is a work in progress. Shrimp Zoo and Adakin talking geopolitics weekdays every night. Yes, people, this is happening. We are also having a weekly show on Sundays, 1 hour long, a little more in-depth, a little more condensed, but we're coming to you every weeknight. Both myself and Mr. Shrimp Zoo, who will be joining us shortly, talking geopolitics, talking talking current events, talking COVID, talking police brutality, political corruption, judicial corruption, police corruption, international politics, right? So anything of interest to the people, we will be chatting about. And our weekday broadcast can be about half an hour each. And our longer show on Sundays will be an hour. So people can check that out. And I did just upgrade to a professional plan on the StreamYard for the rest of the month. I don't know how long I can keep that up for, as it is a pretty penny. But I wanted to come full swing and professional for our first month of broadcasts for Addy and Shrimp. And I'm looking forward to this. I'm really grateful that Shrimp Daddy has agreed to this. It was actually kind of a mutual idea. We came up while speaking, just chatting as we do, and we thought it would be a cool thing to add to our repertoire. Excuse me. So I got this broadcasting to my Facebook page, my Facebook profile, my YouTube. I will have it broadcasting to my backup YouTube channel, which I just made. I think I have to wait like 24 hours for that to kick in. my Twitter / Periscope, as well as Twitch, which I don't really use, but I can broadcast up to 8 different locations or destinations with the professional plan. So I thought I should take advantage of that. Let me take off this flux if it's on and get the lighting right. God bless America. God bless the President of the United States and the free world. We are fighting terrorists, both foreign, but most of all, domestic, because that is where our biggest enemies are at the moment. And let's be honest about that. Talking today a little bit about Fort Hood, maybe some police brutality as well. I got at least one story there. We'll see what Shrimp brings to the table. I'm sure he is going to have some good stuff to chat about. We got a shooting yesterday I tweeted about. I just did one tweet. People want to follow me on Twitter at OneAddyAds, OneAddyAds, about a shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin. A black man was shot in the back 7 times. Let me actually play that video for you guys. For anyone who has not seen that yet, it is something we have to see first, then we can chat about it. I definitely have my own thoughts on it, things that could have gone better for both sides. But that being said, let's pull that up and people can check it out for those who haven't seen it yet. No sound on this. Oh, looks like there's sound.
Wow.
Why the f I just shoot that man? Why the f I just shoot that man like that, bro? Why the f just shoot him? You ain't had to kill. He dead, bro. Why the f shoot that? Why the f shoot him that many times? Why the f I shoot him? Bro, why the f I just shoot him? Y'all
Oh, whoops, my mic was off. I was just gonna say, Joe, we'll chat about that as long as other stuff as well. Joining me today is my co-host, Mr. Shrimp, live from Buffalo, New York. Shrimp, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today.
That's good, man. We are in 1080p for our broadcast. I got the professional plan for StreamYard, so our first month of broadcast will be 1080p, streaming live right now to 6 different destinations on my social networks. And we might actually add a Shrimp's channel as well in the future to do a simulcast, depending on what Shrimp wants to do with that. Otherwise, he will have at least part of our broadcast on his channel as well. But let's just talk about how you're doing, Shrimp, because I saw your video the other day, actually yesterday, your most recent video, where you talked about how you're leaving New York. Just quick before we get into our broadcast here, because we do have half an hour. We're trying to keep it short and sweet, and then leave our 1 hour more or longer, depending on how we're feeling on Sunday nights, to get more in depth and into a condensed view show. So yeah, just a quick update how you're doing, man.
I'm doing pretty good. I just made that video kind of in response to, I guess, to a few of the comments that I saw in previous videos where people were saying they're unsubscribing because it was fake that I never had kids or anything like that. So
yeah, okay. And do you have any idea where you're moving yet?
just out of this house, at least. Maybe out of New York State, maybe to the West Coast. I don't know.
Well, you are welcome in the Midwest if that ever is a plausible option for you. You're more than welcome. You know where I'm at, bro. So that is it's open to you, of course. But let's just talk about this Kenosha shooting. Have you heard about it? I'm guessing you probably popped on your timeline at one point or another.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's always going to be a shooting. So another one's going to happen in a matter of days or weeks or months. Another one's going to happen.
Yeah, it is. It's quite unfortunate, really. And just analyzing the video, I mean, the guy should have complied, of course. But that's a whole nother, I think, discussion of when and when not to comply with police.
If it was in Europe, it would probably be like 5 or 6 cops with billy clubs just beating the crap out of the dude, like tactically. You know?
Tactical billy clubbing.
Yeah, and they would probably surround him and get him to drop the knife. I don't know if he had to be shot, but people think that I'm crazy, but I would never go at a cop with a knife either, so it's tricky. The George Floyd case to me was pretty cut and clear. It was like he was pretty unjustly killed, but this dude also had a knife. They said, I don't know.
I didn't see a knife in his hand, but they said that he might have been going for a weapon in his car. But regardless, you made a good point. Whether it's a billy club beatdown or not, I mean, no free hand skills were displayed on that video, or at least a taser. I mean, the guy had time enough to walk, not run, walk from one side of the car to the other. I'm just kind of sick of these probably more so right-leaning people or whoever is kind of has a sadomasochistic hard-on for compliance in these situations. Yeah, really, bootlickers.
People kiss police's butts, but there's not like a squad of mega supporters kissing the IRS's ass, you know. There's nobody who's like, there's not like mega supporters who are like super pro like USPS or like pro any other government organization. It's only the police for some reason. There's good cops though.
Of course, yeah, we do have to say that, unfortunately. But they are in the minority, I would say. But
well, every single good cop always sticks up for the bad cops. So
yeah, which in my book doesn't make them good cops. I mean, if you stand by and watch Jews get executed in Nazi Germany, you're just as complicit, right? And you know, I don't think people will argue that. But then they somehow find a way to defend cops who do this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Because of the videos I made on my channel, they raided my house and took my guns because my videos were deemed too crazy.
They took your hammers too, right?
They took, yeah, cameras were missing.
Did they take? Did I misheard that? Maybe did they took any knives or hammers or anything like that?
They took like some axes and stuff, and they were unclear whether I could have like paintball or anything like that. And I mean, they watch it. They're watching probably this now. They watch every video that I make is watched by the police in Western New York.
Yeah.
I don't know,
wow.
The Lancaster Police Department, or whoever. I'm sure there's a series of people watching every video that I make.
Mm-hmm. And just moving on a bit, I saw that you may have heard a bit about this FortHood situation. I actually had a conversation
The missing soldier.
Yeah, yet another one, and we have. Well, I had a conversation with some people who work for the government and who actually were stationed at FortHood. Actually, last year in the fourth quarter of the year, in a country somewhere in Europe, we'll say. And they were just telling me that they knew that there was prostitution rings going on, and they mentioned that the one situation where they did get caught a couple of years ago, and it does seem to be something that they are focusing now on. I would say partly because of the Epstein situation, but I think those efforts are to be applauded. But at the same time, hopefully, I think one could make the case that it's just low-hanging fruit they're going for to try to appease the masses.
Well, why do you think that this person is missing?
Well, it wasn't the one person per se, but they've had 9
Yeah.
Since March. I think 9 dead, and I
Yeah,
think
it seems
5
like
of
a
them.
very unusually high number for a
Yeah,
military base. Like they can't control their shit.
yeah, and
I don't know what's
5
going
of them
on there.
were either confirmed foul play or foul play has yet to be ruled out. So
Like
we
this is
had,
something that should be happening in North Korea, not America.
yeah,
It's
right.
weird.
We had, Vanessa Guillen was the big one, and they actually just saw they actually have a mural of her painted up somewhere in Texas. I actually don't know what city FortHood is located in, but it is one of the largest bases in the world, let alone the United States. And a string of arrests just happened in that particular case.
Yeah.
Mostly
It's
lower
also,
ranking
it's funny how
NCOs.
we can like drone strike like any terrorist leader in the world, like in the most mountainous terrain in the world. But in our own army barracks, we have no idea what's going on. We don't have cameras there, or like any idea where this guy is or where any of these people have went.
Yeah, there was the one man, his name was Brandon Rosecrans, white guy who was enlisted. He was found shot near his burning car, I believe. And I think it was his sister said that they lost trust in CID, Criminal Investigation Division, almost immediately, just a couple days after the investigation started. And I think that's partly why the FBI has taken over the case. And it seems to be they are taking over most of the cases there now just because they got people watching them. And the commander over there, I forget his name, general white guy, I can't remember his last name, but his transfer to another base is being postponed because of the stuff that is going on.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think that's the biggest story of what's happening in the world right now, though. But it is pretty interesting. There's too many missing people going on there.
Yeah. What did you have anything you wanted to talk about or wanted to bring up? I did have another
I
couple
think
other
the
articles.
hurricanes and the fires are a pretty big deal right now. Seems like.
Yeah. Do you want to go into that a bit, Shrimp?
I don't think we're really going to have the resources to deal with those types of things right now because of COVID and the lockdowns and like scarce resources.
Just
The fires.
the manpower required to fight them.
Yeah, they're saying like Colorado, it's the biggest fire in history, and California, they seem pretty bad.
Yeah, I read the one in Colorado was in a very like rugged terrain, so it's hard to reach by foot, which makes it that much harder to fight. But I've also heard this was on, I think it was on Anna Breese's channel, one of the citizen inputs. He was saying that he thinks the government is purposefully starting fires to discourage or eliminate the possibility of people living in the country, thereby making it easier to control them. Obviously, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a theory, I guess. I don't really think that's true, but that's
Yeah,
the
you're
first
not
time
buying into that.
That's also the first time I've ever heard that. I've never looked into it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
some of the fires are probably started by probably left wing people.
Yeah.
There was the one right wing person with the umbrella and all black at like AutoZone or whatever, doing graffiti or smashing windows. That was supposedly like alt right disguised as like Antifa.
I saw that. I thought we established he was a cop.
Yeah, they say that he's alt right. I don't know.
I don't know if I buy that, man.
I'm sure there's actors on both sides like starting fires though, trying to blame the other side. The Amazon fires definitely are started on purpose, I think.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Forest fires. See, people might be trying to spread the forest fires like to rich areas of California purposely. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that what happened in Minneapolis was they did have police actors, and because that one dude got found out, which as far as I can tell, it looks like the same guy. It's a picture of, I think it's on his Facebook, and they got the picture of the guy.
Umbrella guy?
Yeah, umbrella guy.
Okay.
And because he got found out, now they're saying, oh, he's a Nazi. It's just like the classic cop out, isn't it? That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's police Nazis, but probably not very many.
Mm-hmm.
Most police are just dicks. They're not really Klan members. There's a lot of black cops that aren't very nice either.
Oh yeah. Speaking
And
of that,
a Chinese cop
we had
was
this cop
involved in
who was
killing
black
George
cop.
Floyd.
He admitted to kidnapping, tasering, and raping multiple women while on the job. This just came out a couple days ago, the 21st of August, out of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah.
A serial rapist police officer admitted to using badge and cruiser to prey on innocent women.
That sounds horrible. Sounds ridiculous.
Yeah,
Doesn't
and
even
I
sound
will
real.
put the article for that
That's
in the
why,
description box if people want to read more about that. But
You need to
it's
vet-
just stuff that's
you need
it's
to
coming
vet-
up more and more now.
we need to be vetting them better. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know if we mentioned this. Actually, I don't think I've talked about this with you yet, Shrimp. But there is an IQ ceiling for police officers, such
A
that
ceiling?
you can be too smart to become a police officer. And I think the
That
test
makes
they take
sense.
is the Wonderlic test, which is actually the same test the NFL uses. And if you score too high in that, they actually won't let you join the police force because they claim you'll get bored with it. So I don't know.
That's weird.
I think there's some argument there, but I looked it up, and the average, I think, IQ is like 101 of a police officer, which means that there are a lot of police officers whose IQ is much lower than that, especially given the fact that they have that IQ ceiling, and the fact that there are so many cops. Because, okay, sure, maybe one slips through the cracks and he has an IQ of 140 or 130 or more, but that doesn't offset, all those other police officers. So certainly there's a lot that have a below average IQ and have this essentially free reign of power when they're on duty.
Wow, you're being pretty mean to the cops here.
Do you disagree?
I mean, I haven't looked up those facts, but I'll just take your word on it. That's not a very high IQ. The problem I find with most cops, they never really know the law. That's the problem I find if you've ever talked to a cops, they usually don't ever know the law.
Let alone the Bill of Rights. Like I tried quizzing one once, and he couldn't name two articles in the Bill of Rights. I'm like, dude, it seems like the criteria for getting into university is more difficult than becoming.
I want to be on the good side of the police, though.
Yeah, I mean, I do too, but people wanted to be on the good side of the SS as well for similar reasons, I think. I mean, I'm, because they were scared shitless of them.
Yeah, I mean, I am, because they're already watching my videos. They told me in person they were.
You'd think they had better things to do.
I mean, we probably have cop on my channel and your channel. I've definitely seen in the comments like, "Hey, I'm a cop. I watch your channel." I've seen that a few times.
Oh wow!
So I'm sure there's cops watching your channel that are just normal people. I know for sure there's cops that watch my channel that are fans too.
Yeah,
I've seen comments, unless they're faking it.
What I don't like with the cop topic is the light switch thinking, where because I criticize cops, people think I'm like a communist shill. Like I've been called a communist shill just because I criticize police.
They don't think that you could be right wing or conservative or in the middle and not like cops. A lot of conservatives are automatically pro cop no matter what. Like it's a sports team. But if they get a high tax bill, they're pissed at the IRS, but they don't get pissed at the police at anything.
Yeah. And just transitioning a bit here, in Epstein news, Jean-Luc Brunel has been confirmed. People thought he was in Brazil because I think he might have been because he was stupid enough to use his phone there. But his lawyers have confirmed that he's in France. and he is lawyered up and he's ready for probably the day that is inevitably going to happen when he is subpoenaed or at least facing the legal system in some way or another. Now, I know that France doesn't generally extradite their citizens, but he's definitely got a target on his back. And for those who don't know, Jean-Luc Brunel was the modeling agency CEO of MC Squared, and he trafficked over 1,000 girls to Epstein, as well as to other of their billionaire pals and those in that elite club, including the Royals, of course, as we know. But just some good news in a sense on the Epstein front, because we do know where he is, and he is a pretty big fish, going maybe a step up or at least sideways from Epstein, whereas Sarah Kellen, who is one of the madams, is certainly a step down from both Guillen and Mr. Epstein himself. And it seems to be the media is painting Epstein as the top of the pyramid. Nobody in the mainstream media is mentioning the fact that this is basically has its roots in the intelligence community. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Shrimp.
I don't follow the Epstein stuff that much, but it's interesting. It just seems, I think everybody agrees that it's a cover up and that they killed him. That's what it looks like.
It's ridiculous how like everybody knows his name, Epstein. Like I was.
No, I don't think anybody believes that he committed suicide.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems to be as big as like the JFK thing, where people are like, they just all know it wasn't. You know,
we're never gonna really know the full truth, so everyone's just gonna speculate, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, we got some love here from Papa Giorgio.
Do you think that they're gonna bring in Prince Andrew into the FBI or CIA? Like they're never gonna get him.
I think if they can get to Prince Andrew, they can get to Bill Clinton.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them going down. Maybe they get a few small fish.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is what Kevin Annett said. He said when we are getting close and the ring is closing, they do throw out some of those small fish to the masses to appease them, right?
Oh yeah, they're sacrifices.
Yeah, but I think it's important that collectively we are not satisfied with those small fishes. You know, we want Moby Dick, right? Or is that the name of the whale, or is that the fisher? You guys know what I'm talking about, the big whale. We want the big whales. You know, we don't want these little subpar marlins. Although we want those.
Well, that might happen in Belarus, but I don't know if it's going to happen in America.
Yeah, speaking of Belarus, I read that there's evidence that the United Kingdom has been supporting the dictatorship there, which is insane. Never mind the fact that they lost internet for 3 days, and they had a pretty much a complete blackout due to the protests against Lukashenko, their effective dictator, but in title he's called the president.
I don't think he's gonna fall. I'm not sure, but I think he won't. What do you think?
If he does, I think there's gonna be blood spilled before that happens.
I've heard protests are ending in some cities already, and they're forcing factory workers to go back to work.
Yeah, that was the other option B was that it would just kind of fizzle out before anything real happened, as far as, you know, a civil war or civil unrest or civil skirmishes, you know.
It's not the last country it will happen to. These types of things will happen all over the world as COVID and lockdowns in the world changes. People on the left and right are vying for power in every country in the world, using lockdowns and COVID policies against each other, trying to raise the population on each of their side politically. Nobody really knows what's going on with COVID, so it's just being used. Some people say it's serious, and then some people say it's not. It's pretty well divided, the world, and there's going to be more revolutions in other countries in Europe, maybe America.
Yeah.
I don't know. We might be, if you look back at it in the history books, Civil War may have started already in America. We may be at that point. These riots aren't looking good. There's going to be a riot every time somebody's shot now.
Yeah.
Like there should be justice, but there can't be a riot every time somebody's shot.
What should happen then, Shrimp?
I mean, I do not like the police, but like I'm also like not really for defunding the police either. I don't want to see them with tanks and like crazy with like crazy armor and stuff and all that type of stuff. I don't think they should have that. I don't really know what the solution is really.
Yeah,
I think people should be forced to wear a mask, but like I'm wearing a mask. I just wear it for the videos. I wear one in the store. I don't think anybody has the right answers.
Are you voting?
Am I going to vote? I mean, honestly, probably not, because I already know that Biden will win in New York State. I mean, maybe. And then it's like,
yeah.
I probably would have, if you asked me a year ago, I probably would have wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders. But like, if you asked me today, there's no way I would vote for Bernie Sanders. And then, like, maybe Trump is the better candidate. Biden is like ridiculous. He can't stay awake. He can't remember anything. He talks about touching like the hair on little boys' legs in interviews, and he talks about the weirdest stuff and like so many blunders. It seems like he may be in the early stages of dementia. He doesn't seem very healthy. So, I mean, traditionally, maybe I would be a Democrat, but there's no way I'm voting for Biden. Trump might be
what I think they're going to do is, like, if Biden wins, which I don't think he has a great chance of doing so, man. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like anybody's buying it.
There's so many people that hate Trump, though. It's like,
yeah,
you can't even tell, if you're a mega supporter, you can't even tell people that you like Trump because you're like shamed for it. You know? Like people will reject you in your own family if you tell them that you're a Trump supporter.
Speaking of that, I actually came out to my family as a Trump voter this past weekend. 2 weekends ago. And I mean, George Webb made a great point when he was talking to Paul on Sunday. I didn't see the whole interview, but we have to have these conversations before if a war is going to happen, a civil war, or
in America,
mass civil anarchy. We have to have these conversations before then, particularly with the people we care about, because you don't want to be in a situation where you don't know where your readout is, or you guys all show up at your readout and you don't know where anybody stands, and you're having these arguments when you should be having tactical and strategic planning discussions, right? Ammo. Speaking of ammo, we got ammo shortages. Food. What happens if the internet gets cut? We should have a tactical plan for that, a strategic plan collectively as a people.
I mean, they kind of are cutting the internet in a way already. They don't want us to have any Chinese apps now. That seems weird to me. What do you think about that?
I think it's hypocritical. I kind of understand the reasoning. Yes, China is using TikTok to spy, but freaking Facebook and Twitter, they're all trying to spy on us, and most of those big tech companies are globalist sympathizers.
I mean, I'm more worried about the NSA than any Chinese Communist government agency spying on me. I'm way more worried about my local little town police department watching my YouTube channel and then knocking on my door because I was flashing something, or like because it looked like I was doing something illegal, but I was messing around. I'm way more worried about that than like the Chinese Communist Party. And I'm aware that the Chinese Communist Party sucks. But I'm not really worried about them like stealing my data on TikTok.
Yeah, that reminds me of another small quip that George and Paul had when they were saying that Paul initially said, I don't know if he switched, but he initially said he fears the CCP the most because they have so many citizens. They don't value human life. They'd be willing to
Yeah,
sacrifice many,
that's
if not
true.
all of them,
Yeah, that's
to.
true.
And he came up with this. I don't know if he came up with it or heard it, but he shared this idea of what if they released the more lethal pathogen and had already come up with the vaccine, which is why they're back to normal pretty much, and then released the softer pathogen or a version of the deadly one
Why
to the
is
rest of the
China
world.
back to normal, but America's the most affected country in the world? They're
Yeah,
like completely devastated, but they're throwing pool parties, like world's largest pool party in Wuhan.
yeah. And then George
My,
was saying, which I think aligns with what you just said, Shrimp, with the NSA.
I think they let
He
it out.
thinks NATO has the biggest motive to do this, because he was saying that they did this with playing the CIA playing off Russians against the Americans during the Cold War. They want another Cold War with China.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that deep. I think that China was just messing around with coronaviruses and different crazy bad viruses they were finding, because southern China is host to like the world's crazy. There's caves that have Ebola and different SARS and coronaviruses all in one cave. Like,
That's tobacco.
it's insane. In China, like China guards them like their top secret nuclear facilities. They're like cemented off. They're erased on Google Maps. No one in or out. They're like cemented in the mountains. China has crazy stuff like that. I think China was messing around with the wrong viruses and they got out on somebody's clothes, and it could have happened last summer, could have happened a year or two ago, and the virus probably has been mutating. I think they're messing around with the gain of function on it. And
Yeah.
I think they didn't tell the world, and the WHO just sat by, and either they knew or they didn't care. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
an accident, but it really was an accident because China just sat by for months to a year or longer while this virus went around the world. And I think China knew the virus was spreading. They let it spread all over the world so they wouldn't be the only country devastated. They use it as a biological weapon. Basically, they knew it was an accident, but they let it spread anyways. So it's basically biological warfare, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is, and I guess the generals are calling it the high ground of warfare. Now, I was just reading about Unit 141 in, excuse me, I think it's 741 or 731, the Japanese unit that was in charge of the bioweapons in World War II. And the reason they made that unit was they were very impressed by this particular battle during the First World War, where the Germans effectively produced a large salient in the French line using chlorine gas. And just reading about that, man, it's
I mean,
horrific, dude. Like the men they'd just turn black from lack of oxygen, like in minutes.
I don't trust China with that stuff. Like, people are worried about Iran and stuff. I'd be a lot more worried about what China's doing in those labs than what Iran is doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the Iran thing is just a total. It's like Russia 2.0 almost, or like a knockoff of Russia. Like it's just like a red herring in a way. I mean, I'm not saying they're not a threat, but
the real threat's Saudi Arabia, not Iran.
Really, you think so?
Well, have you ever heard of a terrorist from Iran on an airplane or in a gay bar in Florida? It's never happened. There's never been a Persian in Hollywood blow anything up. There's no Shia terrorists. They don't exist.
Yeah.
Iran is all Shia Muslims. There's never been an airplane bombing where it's been a Shia Muslim. They're always from Saudi Arabia or from a Wahhabi mosque that Saudi Arabia opened in Pakistan or in Kazakhstan or in Egypt or wherever.
And the thing that ties both Iran and Saudi Arabia with the United States is, of course, Israel. But
Yeah.
we ending up right here on our 30 minutes here, Shrimp. And we will be broadcasting every single weeknight for the foreseeable future. And we have our long show on Sundays where we're going for at least an hour, if not more, going more in depth on stuff. And we will have links to the stuff we discussed in the description box below. And Shrimp, if you just want to stick around for a sec after we stop broadcasting. And any final thoughts from you, Shrimp, before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, everybody like and subscribe. Watch Addy's channel. Watch my channel. We're gonna come out with killer podcasts every night.
And
I think we're gonna discuss, like, everything's gonna be like on the table that we can discuss.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. And if people want to offer suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I do read pretty much all my comments at some point or another. Sometimes it'll take a few days. But Twitter for Shrimp and his Patreon, as well as his YouTube channel, are in the description box below. So people go and subscribe to Shrimp. We do have a couple long-form chats in the past we've done. I think 3 or 4. So if people want to check those out, we got those as well. As my brand new tube has all of my content uncensored, including all my interviews that have been taken down. So
Nice.
again, we are back around this time tomorrow night, folks, for another chat. Until then, stay frosty. All the best from the Midwest. And until next time, folks.